Grace, Madison, if you've ever driven to South Lake Tahoe on Highway 50, you may have passed Phillips Station. It's a historic site that could be in the line of fire, depending, of course, on the winds. It's also where surveyors encountered another ominous measure of the drought that is fueling California's wildfires.
This isn't the first time our family has been in the line of fire, honestly.
Abby Pearson is the last in a long line of women to call Phillips Station home. Right along this line, this is where it happens.
This is where it happens, yeah.
It's where every winter, one of California's most important monthly snowpack surveys takes place. In April, recording just 59% of the yearly average. It's a measure of the drought helping to fuel the wildfires now closing in on her homestead. But despite the evacuation warning,
I have chosen not to leave my home because this is where my roots are.
It's making its way with that wind, taking a run up the slope towards the ridge line here.
West on Highway 50, Cal Fire escorts us to the head of the fire in El Dorado National Forest. It's rugged canyons dotted with huge trees parched from drought. The Caldor fire climbs them like a ladder with a push from the wind.
At these elevations, the winds can shift quickly. We've seen gusts of up to 35 miles per hour, making the fires very hard to predict.
Very unpredictable, as we've seen this year, especially with the conditions we have. This is very unpredictable fire behavior.
Let's go. Get out of here.
A sudden wind change at the top. Our caravan forced to turn back quickly.
We're trying to do our best we can to get people access to document this story, and as we're in this area, the fire made a big run right near where we were.
And if it comes this way, back to Phillips Station, Pearson says she has a plan. Propane tanks off, sprinklers on. The truck is already loaded.
You let whomever tells you to go escort you out, and you make peace with what was your home and what you may or may not come back to.
And if the fire does make its way here from that direction, we believe it all, of course, depends on the wind. This will be not the first time for tragedy to strike here at Phillips Station. Just a few short years ago, we're standing now on the foundation of where a home was destroyed in 2019.
My goodness, just heartbreaking, Luke.
Madison, Chris, we're on the road to Sierra Tahoe, where you can normally see for miles at this outlook point. Right now, just that heavy haze of smoke. We're seeing so much ash falling, it almost looks like snowflakes. But up the road, you talk to the folks inside this beloved ski resort, and they say that they are prepared for whatever comes.
No, there's a lot of love for this resort, and I know that a lot of people are going to fight real hard to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Thinking about the worst case scenario for the slopes and lodges at the time-honored Sierra Tahoe Resort. Only a handful of Cal Fire officials and sheriff's deputies here to get the word out. This place is in the red zone. Mandatory evacuation.
Be here till they tell me to get out.
General Manager John Rice says most of the employees are long gone. From a mountaintop alert cam, you can see little more than smoke. It's just as heavy on the ground.
Right there, that's the top of Huckleberry Peak.
As a Lake Valley Fire District board member, Rice has had access to the command center in Placerville.
Just about every other person taps me on the shoulder and says, I learned how to ski there, or I have a pass there. So a guy yesterday was wearing a Sierra Tahoe face mask.
It's a great place to have this close to our home.
Evacuations happening at the base of the mountain too. James McLaughlin strapping in some of his vehicles and watering down his home one last time before getting out of Dodge.
I feel for all the people that are out there in the parking lots just waiting to see if their house is going to be there, and a lot of them know that it's not.
I just got to hope that she's going to be okay.
This man is a retired Seattle firefighter near the evacuation lines, helping homeowners secure their houses.
I can see you're working hard. I see the sawdust on your hat.
Yeah, just, you know, trimming trees with what you got.
Meanwhile, back at Sierra Tahoe, there's hope that the parking lots and slopes will act as a natural fire break.
We've done just about everything we can do. It would be as prepared as we can be.
Now, we believe at this point that everyone has left the resort, aside from maybe some fire personnel who could still be up there. That includes, though, the general manager, John Rice, who left moments ago. He says that this year the resort is celebrating its 75th anniversary. You talk to anybody, you know how much love there is for this place and what a loss it would be if the Caldor fire makes its way here.
Oh, what a loss that would be. Yeah, Luke, and everyone is pitching in to protect it. It's great to see. Luke, thank you.
El Dorado Beach would normally be teeming with tourists this time of year. Right now, it's desolate. And for the people who live here year-round, the question of whether or not to leave right now is something that's hanging heavy in the air.
It is the cornerstone of South Lake Tahoe.
Bert's Cafe has served a hearty breakfast to the year-rounders for 20 years.
Well, we serve fabulous pancakes.
Bueno Kettleson says he's packed up and ready to depart if he has to. There's no evacuation warning for South Lake Tahoe, but it's something to talk about.
As long as I have my dogs in the car, I'm good to go, you know.
Connie and Cheryl.
I'm okay. I'm pretty comfortable with what they're doing.
They talk with firefighters in town they know.
They're like, if at all you feel scared and to the point, just get your stuff packed up and go. We'll save everything else.
The Caldor fire burning near 39 Milestone on Highway 50. That's just 20 miles from South Lake Tahoe.
Less wind today, which is beneficial for us, and this inversion layer holding some of the heat down.
CAL FIRE says it's focused on structure protection and has containment lines and contingency plans in place to protect the Tahoe Basin.
This is what we're seeing all along Highway 50. It's burning low and slow, but sending that constant, steady stream of smoke into the air.
Terrible, terrible.
It's awful. It's awful.
South Lake Tahoe Mayor Tamara Wallace urging calm, but with air quality like this,
be prepared to leave if we need to. If you have any health issues, leave now if you can.
Enjoy. As for Kettleson, some of his employees sensitive to the smoke have already packed up and left. If it comes time to leave Bert's Cafe behind,
there's a few things that are irreplaceable. I have an old baseball mitt that's got to go with me. You know, you can't get those 1940 mitts anymore.
Madison, we have some really new developments to share with you just in the last hour or so from Strawberry. This is about 11 miles outside of the Tahoe Basin. And what started as a spot fire here behind the general store, we understand has now merged with a tactical defensive burning operation, which was actually being conducted by the El Carrizo Hotshots, working with the India Division. These are members of the U.S. Forest Service. We can actually see a number of them here lining the north side of Highway 50 here. Again, what they're doing here is trying to fight fire with fire, burning off some of these fuels, and it's burning a lot lower and slower, although from time to time we do see torching happening here behind the general store. Again, CAL FIRE telling us that they believe that they have a good shot at protecting this structure in this important juncture here in the fight to stop the Caldor fire from making its way east into the Tahoe Basin.
It's almost clear skies out here compared to yesterday, so that's definitely a good thing.
Blue skies early Saturday morning bring a brief respite from the smoke and the opportunity for air support.
Tahoe's up here.
That changed by mid-afternoon, a deep orange haze over Strawberry.
We've seen an increase in our winds, so that's why we're seeing our fire activity on these ridges behind us increase as well.
Anything to be concerned about right here?
Not right here. No, we're closely monitoring the situation. As you can see, we have a ton of resources in Strawberry right now.
Crews still executing their plan to stop the Caldor fire's march to the east. Bulldozers breaking up the fire's access to dry fuels like dead trees and brush.
The train's steep.
The section burning north of Highway 50 in what they call a slopover across the proposed highway containment line.
Here we see the U.S. Forest Service monitoring a pretty active part of the fire. Surrounding this property, though, we see the ground is churned up. This is a dozer line meant to help protect this structure.
Wrapping it in foil helps ward off radiant heat. The U.S. Forest Service says it could help the structure survive. The old, deep-rooted trees will likely live through this as long as they don't torch like these, visible from Strawberry Station.
This is the example of where a dozer can't go.
South of Highway 50, a hand crew cut this contingency line, pre-plumbed with fire hose.
We already have it staged, ready to go.
And you'll have firefighters right here.
There'll be firefighters every 100 feet.
And back in Strawberry.
It is alarming watching trees torch like we're seeing on the ridge tops, but it's nothing that the crews here aren't able to handle.
And now we're bringing you another look at the spot fire burning south of Highway 50. Again, it's not looking super active right now, but it's definitely something to watch. That's certainly east of the contingency line that we saw today with Cal Fire, but what we don't know is if there are more along the way that will help slow the spread of this fire toward the Tahoe Basin. And we've heard some concerns about our safety being out here. I just want to reassure you, we have a straight shot along Highway 50 back to South Lake Tahoe. We are staying close to Cal Fire's public information officers to bring this information to you. Madison.
Luke, thank you. Yeah, you really are surrounded by fire, but again, those firefighters are working to do a back burn that is going to connect with that spot fire, so that is some good news right there. Strawberry hopefully will be saved. We'll keep you all updated with more. Luke, thank you.
Hi, Chris. Yes, I'm standing on Highway 50. This is just around the corner from Echo Summit, which is a new staging area. They've been moving further and further east with the spread of the fire previously at Sierra at Tahoe. And I'll tell you, we had every intention of coming live from that location. We felt safe there. We were in a parking lot and a number of fire crews still there to provide defense when suddenly cell service went out. Cal Fire tells us that one of the cell towers burned down, and it's just an example of how quickly things are changing here on the ground. We saw a number of spot fires growing on both sides of Highway 50 on the way out of here, and we have been here following this fire as it spread along that corridor from earlier this week.
You know it's approaching, and now it's knocking on the door, so.
John Rice welcoming reinforcements at his Sierra at Tahoe resort as the winds pick up and the Caldor fire rolls east toward the Tahoe Basin.
I'm a lot more encouraged today because I can see and touch and feel these resources. Instead of knowing they might come, they're here.
But with fire becoming visible in the distance, the staging area moving further east to Echo Summit, firefighting crews remain to provide defense. Closer to Strawberry, fighting fire with fire.
And will this come all the way down, tie in with Highway 50?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Hand tools make quick work of the dry fuels crammed around the trunks of these dead and hazardous trees.
And then as it was coming down, we were coming up with it, snuffs it out before it hits the town.
Members of the U.S. Forest Service, we can actually see.
Live on ABC 10, we watched Saturday night as the El Carrizo hotshots set this tactical burn to save the Strawberry General Store.
And it looks like you were able to save all these structures on the north side.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, we did.
Seeing gusts of up to 35 miles per hour.
Wednesday, we met Cal Fire Public Information Officer Stephen Horner.
Get out of here.
A sudden wind change at the top.
Almost exactly the same thing. Now that wind is picking up and you see the smoky conditions. It's starting to get a little bit darker now.
And as the skies grow darker over Sierra at Tahoe, hope against the wind.
I hope the winds don't do what they're predicted to do and we can try to keep this place around for winter.
And Chris, I have to tell you, having been here since Wednesday, we have seen things that we definitely hope not to see in the last few days. In particular, the last few hours, things have been changing really fast. It's hard not to feel like we are entering a new phase in the fight against the Caldor fire. Hi, Walt, and we listened in this morning at the operational briefing from Cal Fire. We heard from a safety officer who said that the tempo of this fire has increased in recent days. The tempo of evacuation warnings and orders that are marching east, and the tempo of these red flag warnings, and just the spotting of fires far out in front of the head of it. And as someone who has been here for the last 6 days with photojournalist Andrea Escatini, who's behind the lens right now, we can certainly tell you that is the case. The tempo of this is really picking up speed. A perfect example of that, last night we were at the staging ground, a temporary one that was at Sierra at Tahoe Resort. Lots of dozer crews, fire crews were there just before they had to leave because we could see spot fires pretty close in the distance, smoke. We had to leave for two reasons. For one, our safety. For two, the fact that a cell tower went down. We were not able to bring you a live report there. So as we came down, we knew that we just had to go back. Today, we finally got the chance to do that this morning. Here's what we found.
So we are now leaving Sierra at Tahoe Resort. We weren't sure what we would find because on the way up, you could see all of these trees that have burned, some of them right down to the trunk. In some cases, we saw trees laying over, and a few still active flames, not many though, along the way. When we arrived, the first thing that we saw was the administrative offices. That building seemed to be pretty well intact, and as we drove around the grounds, we saw another shop that looked pretty good. We spoke with the U.S. Forest Service, and they told us that they'd only seen a few spot fires here and there igniting on the slopes, a few trees on the slopes torched overnight, but that they had it pretty well under control. The buildings here, the main lodge, the administrative offices all appear to be standing. Snow guns still blowing water at the structures in order to help protect them. We see the Easy Rider Express, among other chairlifts, still intact. One thing that is really worrying to me right now is that this fire is burning here. So we're going to go check with the U.S. Forest Service firefighters who are on scene right now and see if this is something that they should be attending to. So the U.S. Forest Service just told me that they are keeping a close eye on that, but with those heavy fuels, it would take a lot of water to extinguish. And since it's not close to any structures, they're just going to be keeping an eye on it for now. And Walt, I should clarify that those U.S. Forest Service firefighters that we spoke with are not authorized public information officers, so we don't have official word yet about whether or not there are any structures at all that were destroyed at the Sierra Tahoe Resort. But what I can tell you, with our eyes on the ground, from what we could see, not a single building destroyed to our knowledge. We also checked on a couple of homes in Phillips Station, although we've been in touch now. Just now we let the owner of that home know that her house is in good shape. A number of other properties, cabins, a number of other buildings on the property, cabins and such, all look to be pretty good, but we promised to make sure to get her permission before we show those to you on air, and we fully intend to keep our word on that. So we'll be here just getting as far as we can in here, but with the cell towers still down, it's difficult to bring you these live reports. We'll do the best that we can.
Yeah, that's an important point, Luke. We're getting our live signal where we can get it, and that was dramatic video that you showed us there in terms of if everybody had a snow gun like Sierra at Tahoe, the areas that were saved, and then right next to it, burning.
Right, and I should also mention then, on the road, Highway 50, from this point to Phillips Station, which anyone familiar with this area would know, that's where the Sierra at Tahoe turnoff is. We did not get any eyes on any cabins that were destroyed, any houses that were destroyed. Everything that we saw looked good from here to there. I mean, this is not a comprehensive report. This is, this is just what we could see in the last 15 minutes or so.
Right, a random sampling, but people are listening for what you just said, Luke, because they have property along that line. They don't know what the status of their cabins are.
Yes.
And if you did a quick drive through there.
Right. And we have seen video of some cabins burning down west of there, but we have not been able to get that far out just yet because we've got to go out, come back here for signal to meet with you and tell you what we found.
Right.
So those are some of the challenges that we have here on the ground.
Luke Cleary, we thank you very much. Luke Cleary with the very latest Sierra at Tahoe. Let's take it out to Luke Cleary near the fire lines. He's at Highway 50 at Echo Summit. Luke?
Well, actually, we've moved down Highway 50 into a neighborhood called Tahoe Island. This is just south of Tahoe Keys, and so we've been kind of going around these neighborhoods, talking with people, because this is one of the areas that has just now come under the evacuation order. That's mandatory. You know, I have to tell you, speaking with a number of homeowners and business owners in the area already in just the last 30-40 minutes or so, there's a sense of calm here that I was almost kind of surprised to encounter. Folks have been preparing for this. A lot of them, of course, being under that evacuation warning, they know to get their stuff together, and a lot of them have done so. And so today it's been mostly about getting important family heirlooms, things that matter a lot to these folks, material things that they can pack up and take away with them. Like, for example, this 1972 red Chevy Nova. We've been speaking with the guy who lives here, Ernesto. He says with all the blood, sweat, and tears he put into this thing, he's going to load this up and take it with him as he moves out of harm's way. So again, there's just a sense, I think, of preparedness here. We see RVs being loaded up, trucks with their beds full of people's things. Folks are just now starting to make a kind of an orderly way evacuation out of neighborhoods like this one. Again, this is Tahoe Island, south of Tahoe Keys, and I'm imagining that you'll find pretty similar scenes like this in other neighborhoods now under that mandatory evacuation. We're going to stick around and continue talking with folks and seeing what their plans are. Walt?
Yeah, Luke, it looks like it's busy behind you, and a lot of people, you know, who may be watching say, you know, why Tahoe Keys? It seems like that's quite a ways away from where the fire is. I just talked to my buddy Joe in Tahoma, and he was told that, you know, even though it seems like he's not close to it, if you go over the ridge, it's only about 4 or 5 miles as the crow flies, and that's where the fire is. So fires don't take roads and highways. They go where they're going to go, and you may be closer to the fire than you think.
That's a great point. Not only that, what we have seen in the last 24 hours or so is that those embercast spot fires are going further and further afield, so they can launch as far as 3/4 of a mile to a mile. Walt?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We're going to take that to Rob now.
Yes, in fact, though, we are on Highway 50. I just want to make that very clear, guys. We are on Highway 50 where there are a number of switchbacks alongside Echo Lake, and let me just count out the number of spot fires that we are seeing here. This is further down the road from where we just saw John Bartell. And here is one up that ridge, right? Just there. Another one next to it, so that's 2. Here's 3 down here alongside the Tahoe Basin side slope of the Highway 50 corridor here. Another one sitting here. That's at least 4, 5, and 6. And another one through those trees. So you could just see how this fire has been able to grow at such an alarming rate, right? Because when those trees torch, and we have seen them torch from time to time, and that finer fuel, think the pine needles, the pine cones, when that goes up and it flies up into the air, it takes flight in the form of those embers, that ash that lands in the dry brush, the dry timber. And that's what sets off these spot fires everywhere you look. Ember cast going as far as 3/4 to a mile, we've heard from CAL FIRE, and so we are just watching this fire continue to grow, making its way closer and closer toward Myers in the Tahoe Basin. They have, Chris. Look just over here. I know it's very difficult to see, but we're watching that crest of the Sierra. That's where we believe Echo Lake is burning. As we saw, John Bartell has had to move, you know, time and time again to get away from those flames. But this particular area has a historical echo that I want to point out to you. Just take a look out here at this landscape. And as you can see, the trees are very sparse, burned out trunks. You probably already know where I'm standing. This is the burn scar of the Angora fire, which broke out in 2007. Nearly 250 homes were destroyed here, and it really cracked this notion here in the Tahoe Basin that they were somehow protected from wildfire. And I think that we picked that up as we spoke with families who were preparing to leave. Here's our conversation with a father and daughter.
I came up to help my father evacuate and grab some stuff from my grandmother's house, which is kind of like a childhood house of mine. Just some pictures and clothes, and she's already out safely, so.
And how are you feeling right now, sir?
I feel good. I'm just here to close the restroom down. There you go, locked up. Getting out of here.
And then I just want to show you, although there's very little tree coverage here, the vegetation is so dry, it just crumbles right in your hands. You see a number of homes here. There have been crews putting in dozer lines to try to help protect them. And we are watching like a hawk on that crest to see if any fire comes rolling down that hill. Chris and Madison.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. And you know, I have been here covering the Caldor fire as it is spreaded east, as it is marched toward the Tahoe Basin since Wednesday of last week. So this is day 6 for us, and
ABC 10 photojournalist Andrea Scatini behind the lens right now. We have watched this fire go, and the possibility of this fire coming into the Tahoe Basin. We were talking about this as a remote possibility just days ago, and yesterday things really just changed, right? The tempo of this picked up and it became an inevitability, and unfortunately today I'm afraid that we can say that this has happened. The fire has now entered the Tahoe Basin. We're in Christmas Valley, or just north of that. We're knocking on the door of Myers. The fire is everywhere that we look, and we are going to continue watching these developments unfold.
Our Luke Clary reporting live for us, sir. You be safe. We'll